Hello, family and friends and listeners out there. Sorry, it's been a couple weeks. I got sick and had such a bad cough that I couldn't even talk. So my voice is still a little messed up. So I may cough occasionally, but it's gotten a lot better. And just wanted to get back to doing the video series in the timeline. So this is video number 3 in the timeline. It's going to cover basically the second round, entry into the second round of chemo after I had been outpatient for about 3 weeks from the first series. But I do want to backtrack a little bit. My wife reminded me of a few things that I missed in the very first timeline series. The PIC line, when I had it installed, when I got in there on the 14th of July at the UCI in Orange, and they did the PIC early the next morning without me being kind of aware that they were coming to do it. And I said that, my wife wasn't there yet, but my brain was not functioning and remembering things correctly. She was there. She got there pretty early, but she had stepped out to go get a Starbucks for me and get some breakfast for herself and bring it back up. And then they had come in while she was gone. And she came back and the room was completely like taped off and red signs on it, no entry. So of course, she was like, "What's going on?" So yeah, I missed that point in my brain and my memory. And the other thing I forgot to mention was after the first round of chemo there, other than the x-rays, the MRIs, the CAT scans, you name it, I had developed a blood clot behind my left eye. So my vision was like really bad. And so I had to go across the street to an ophthalmologist. And they wheeled me over there and they just drop you off with the ophthalmologist. And I was not feeling that well, and it was very hot there that day. And my wife was with me, Kim, and they were trying to do the inspection of my eyes, x-rays of my eyes, and all those things that they do just to investigate it. And they push a ball into your eye and they map all your blood vessels and everything. And as they were doing that, I started to feel a little lightheaded, couldn't see. All I could see was white. Apparently I turned completely white. And then that was it. That's all I kind of remember. I think I fainted or started to fall forward, and my wife's trying to hold me up. And they just said, "Okay, we can't do this. So he'll have to come back." And it was like, yeah, no kidding. So they gave me a bunch of cold compresses. And then I had to sit there out in the hallway area and wait for a person from across the street from the Douglas Hospital to come and get me. And it was just not a good thing. So I was, my wife didn't know what was going on with me. I was all white. Then my lips turned purple. So it was a little bit of a concern. So we got back across the street and just said, yeah, we won't be doing that again anytime soon, even if they need it. So just wanted to cover that. Sorry, it's a little backtrack, but that was during the first stay, July 14th, all the way until when I got out August 10th. So, it's quite a long stay there, even with the 10 days before in Fountain Valley also, Memorial. So, but got out August 10th and was outpatient. But it was back there every single day doing blood work across the street at the Chow Center. Like I mentioned, I couldn't walk, and so it was a bit of a struggle. But second round came up. That started August 31st, and it was not as bad as the first one. It still knocked me out, though. I mean, I was just tired, weak. Still hadn't recovered much from the first round, so it was a bit of a fight, but it was short. I checked in August 31st. I did the chemo multiple days and rounds, and then got out September 4th. It's 2023, of course. Um, and then there was the same situation, back and forth every day with the blood work at the Chow Center, and just yeah, it was quite interesting. This particular outpatient time before I started the third round, I had a bone marrow draw. Um, they were very curious to see the results. So were we. Uh, Usually after the first two rounds of chemo, most patients, if they're cured, they generally show not even just leukemia that's not measurable by the devices that they use, but also not detectable. So sometimes it's not measurable, but they can still detect it. And that's where they send it out to a specialty lab. It's in Washington, above us north. There's a university. The university there has one of the few places on the West Coast that can do that type of testing. So we got it back. It took about 7 or 8 days, and it showed that they couldn't measure, um, could not measure the leukemia cells, but it was still detectable. So we kind of had to adjust to that. I mean, I was scheduled for 8 rounds of chemo, so they just like to see, the doctors anyway, like to see that it is gone. Not just not measurable, but not detectable. And then you continue on with the rounds of chemo, and just to kind of shut the door on it. And the doctors kind of determine after that. I mean, am I going to go through 8 more? Those are 2 rounds. Am I going to go through another 6 rounds of chemo every 3 to 4 weeks? And so we talked with the doctor, and that was Dr. Compton. That was my primary for the stem, or actually it was Dr. Knockvey. She was taking care of me across the street in the ATC as my oncologist across the street, outpatient. Um, and she recommended talking to Dr. Compton, who was going to be, leading kind of the stem cell transplant if I decided to go that route. They recommended, because of my age, that meaning young. I mean, I know I'm over 50, but it was more of a situation of in the cancer world and treatment. I was in pretty good physical shape, and they thought it was a better idea to move right into the stem cell transplant direction. I still had to continue on, though. It was going to take at least 5 to 6 months to prep for the stem cell transplant, and that's some of the stuff I'll cover a little bit later. But it was a decision that my wife and I had to talk about. A lot of issues. Uh, you know, Even if it cures the leukemia, there's possible side effects, damage to just about every portion of my body, including my nerves too, all my nerves, my fingers, my feet, liver, kidneys. My body could reject it. It's a stem cell transplant, not an actual organ technically. So the rejection would be body wide, and it would not be just a particular kidney or liver. So it could be a problem that would be hard to deal with. But the discussion was, do we want to go into the donor base? Most likely, with my heritage, lineage, whatever you want to call it, it would probably draw from somebody that donated in Europe, most likely. But that's not always the case. The other situation was there any relatives that would be willing to do it? So Kim and I had to talk a lot about it. and decide, what we're going to do. So we didn't make any decisions right away. So just kind of let it sink in. They gave us a huge manual, so to speak, to read about everything about stem cell transplants, the whole procedure. So we did come to the before I checked in for the third round, which was September 31st. We had already made the decision that we were going to move into the stem cell transplant. So then the planning began during that first couple weeks. But as the doctors explained it to us, like I said, it's going to take 4 or 5, maybe even 6 months, because I had to start scheduling. I mean, I was hardly ever in the seeing doctors when before this all happened. So to have all this stuff multiple times, transfusions of every type, MRIs constantly, CAT scans constantly feeding into the big tube, and um, at all hours of the night whenever it was available, X-rays all the time, CAT scans of specific portions of my body, including just my head. Like probably checking to see if I have any brains in there. But it was quite an undertaking. I had to take a pulmonary test, had to take a lung test, and that was interesting. Sitting inside of a enclosed cage with a big old mask and everything taped to my face, and having to do certain exercises for quite a while. Um, then, of course, and more specific ordered blood work. One situation, they did just the general blood work across all aspects of everything possibly imagined. They took like 18 vials of blood, which was quite a bit, big vials. And so it was interesting to see this process, I guess. Um, Also had to have a dentist checkup, X-ray. Dentist had to sign off, making sure I had no cavities, untreated, no infections in my mouth, nothing in my bones, anything at all that would be a problem for the stem cell transplant. So basically, they were looking for other issues with my body everywhere. Oh, and the colonoscopy, that was my favorite one. Um, but they did at least put me out for that. I was out. Don't even remember. Don't even. It's just completely out. Went in. They gave me the juice. I was out. Woke up in the recovery room, and that's all I know. So it made me go through tons of testing of different things before I got to the point of the stem cell transplant. So it was a while away. So I did have to continue on with round three. Like we talked about, that one was September 31st. Checked in and checked out again on October 3rd. So it was another not terrible. I think as the rounds went on, the first one was the worst because I was so bad off. All my stats, my blood work, everything. The second round, a little bit better, but still extremely. It just took me out. I was so tired and sleeping all the time, and of course, that was the stage where I pretty much gave up on keeping the hair. Just ended up shaving the head because it was falling out anyway. I mean, I was just like, yeah, might as well just shave it. And but it was actually better. I ended up, I never had to worry about bedhead, and you know, much easier to wash the head and just dry it off with a towel. Uh, the uh, the ups and downs, though, it was still very apparent physically. Uh, I got to the point where I was capable of walking. It just wasn't very far. I'm in my casa here, my own little kingdom, and had to just be kind of. I mean, I couldn't go anywhere, and air filters in the room running just to keep things out as best as possible. My white blood cells were pretty much zero, which obviously means that can't I catch stuff easy. I catch these stuff easy now, and my blood cells are currently back up to pretty good measures. Um, and they had just had to watch for anything in my body that was failing, and that was a lot of details that the blood work would always show. That's why I was having it done. In the hospital, it was every 3 to 4 hours. I had blood drawn, and but when I'm outpatient, generally it was once a day. But by the time I did get to, I don't know, probably the third round afterwards, when I was outpatient, it did start spreading out further. My blood work was coming back faster, and when it gets to a certain level, the doctors are okay. We're gonna start doing it every 2 days, uh, and as time goes on, it just sort of, as long as you're improving, um, it was pretty much a situation where they just sort of started spreading it out a little bit further, which was nicer. It was pretty tough going every day back and forth in the car. Uh, wasn't a terrible drive, but when you're not doing well, um, it was only like, with no traffic, it was 30 minutes. So it wasn't terrible. But a lot of it was that I couldn't drive. So my wife was driving me back and forth. And if she had something she couldn't do, then he'd call in my mom as the backup. And it just, for me, it got old, not having that ability to drive. And I'd probably say it probably started to annoy me a lot. So, but you know, second round, um, obviously much shorter than the first, but it was same situation. But the one thing that I never lost was my appetite. I At the time when I got leukemia, I had lost a lot of weight, the year before, and then started, was riding my road bike a lot with my wife, doing a lot of longer distance. So I had gone down to about 218, 220. Even at the worst part of the leukemia, I had only dropped down to 200 pounds. So, yes, I lost some weight, but it wasn't huge. So, but now, what? I haven't been able to do any exercise, especially since I've had the PIC line in me for forever. But I do want to show you, no PIC line, no PIC line. That's right. It's out for about 2 months, so I don't have to put it back in. Obviously this is September 8th. I don't have to, and I've had it off for about 10 days. I don't have to put it back in until probably the beginning of November, sometime before I have to wear another bag. But, no PIC line means that every time I go for blood work once a week, they have to stick me with a needle. So, but the freedom is nice. Shower time is shower time. I don't have to worry about putting big rubber sleeves on my arms. It's just is what it is. So it's nice. Also means I can go swimming, things like that. But it's been kind of nice in that aspect lately. But we pretty much got through that first and second round, and then said yes to the stem cell transplant, and then obviously spent the next 5 months prepping for it. So those are some of the details I'll get into when I talk about the third round. and some of the ups and downs that kind of started happening there. And we shall see. Shorter video today. My voice is already starting to go, so I just wanted to at least kind of get some things in there and let you know how things are going. Things are looking pretty good now. Working through it all over the last 14 months. I don't know. I wouldn't have think I could have put up with it, all of it, honestly. I think with the support of my family and my wife and my kids and my mom and my dad, who's unfortunately on the East Coast in Washington, D.C., doing the best he can, um, and my friends, even my friends, they it was hard for them to come visit, but when they could, they did. And even the ones that couldn't, because they were just really limiting who I could see from exposure. So we didn't even entertain the fact of it. But even a simple text from somebody, when I'm laying in the hospital bed, I don't think you know how much it kind of keeps you alert. And, my wife tells me, I think me doing, still working through the whole situation, working remote, have my laptop on, um, being able to do my schoolwork. Yes, I'm in school. Actually, I only have 8 classes left to finish my business degree. Uh, and homework, homework, that is, work, bills, paying that kind of stuff, and staying on top of it. I try to do it. And I think it was one of the few things that kind of kept me sane in there. Yeah, I'd like to say, yeah, I did read some books, Jack Reacher books. But I would say that that is some of the stuff that just kind of kept me sane. It was a struggle, the impacts of the chemo and some of the drugs that I was on after the fact, or medications, not only drugs, but causing, very bad vision. I mean, I had to have 3 different types of reading glasses strengths because my eyes would change daily. Uh, my hands would shake. I think I've already mentioned that before. They were just shaking so bad it was really hard to type. Um, and just being tired, having being lucid. Um, that was a big struggle. And my wife keeps telling me, maybe when I do these videos, maybe I should clean the bed off. And it's like, no, I don't think so. Yeah, this is my kingdom in here right now. So I don't feel any need to clean anything off. I got my medical bills, binder, books that I'm reading, books for school I'm reading, different binders, different stuff. So it is what it is. And I'm pretty much, you know, that's pretty clean actually. So, but if anybody has any friends have any questions, fire away, or even if you're not. But we talk about some of the other stuff of how important it is to have support. I wouldn't have been able to do this by myself. It was just, it was pretty tough. So, so hopefully, December 15th to the 21st this year, 2024, I'll have my last bone marrow draw. And if I get the good news, that's it. So that'll mean I'll go to probably babysitting me once a month, blood work. And then that's for a year. And then after that, it's like probably once every 3 months. So you still got to kind of be tested and everything just to make sure everything was cleared up. But it is fine with me. I mean, it's very aggressive, this type of cancer. 3 or 4 weeks, I could go from no detectable cells to rabid 95% infection rate in my entire body. That's how fast A.L.L. leukemia moves. So I'll stay with the doctors. As long as they don't ask me to do another colonoscopy, I'll be perfectly fine. So I will set up another video here soon, but and we'll talk a little bit about rounds maybe 3 and 4, and see how it goes, and then maybe I'll do a couple videos outside of the timeline. Like I said, um, I might interview my son, who ended up being my donor for my stem cell transplant. You know, he was 16 at the time, so talk about that and how tough that was to ask him to do it. So, all right, signing off. Talk to you later. Bye.